/free. ZipRecruiter.com.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
We are your relatives.
We are your relations.
Brothers,
sisters,
sons,
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
It's okay to talk about mental health. It's okay to struggle. And it's okay to ask for help. It's important that we support one another and work together to end the stigma so that we can start to tell a different story about mental health and well-being in our community. If you're looking for support for yourself or want to find resources for a loved one, visit makeitokay.org to get started. That's makeitokay.org.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lolia. Cloudy tonight with a low of 27, then Thursday cloudy with a high of 39. The music is still the hottest at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley. Crooner's is located just north of I-694 off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive. View their upcoming music schedules and food menus at croonersloungemn.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be Indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, any cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Chujunk, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega. This segment of Native Roots Radio is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count. Little Moments Count is a statewide collaborative focused on helping parents and caregivers learn about the importance of brain development in the first 3 years of life.
Yeah, here at Native Roots Radio, we are always excited to be partnering with Little Moments Count and host a conversation focused on early childhood development. And that's really good timing for us here because we just had our little grandbabies here. Wendy and I watch our grandchildren every Wednesday and Thursday, and we are really happy to work with Little Moments Count, Haley.
Yes, absolutely. We're, honored to bring on guests monthly to talk about how they view the role of early childhood development in creating bright futures and strong communities.
Hey, we have our friend Barb Fabre, and she's CEO of Indigenous Visioning and a White Earth Ojibwe member. And we are always excited to have Barb on. And Barb, are you there? I don't see her.
Oh no, is she there? I know she had to turn her camera off because her internet was a little
Who's
choppy.
you?
Oh, well, let me read a little more here.
Oh,
Indigenous
I'm sorry, my internet
Visioning
is really
is
choppy.
committed to supporting healthy and thriving tribal communities that protect tribal sovereignty and to ensure strong childhood care and early childhood systems and parent empowerment through a cultural lens. Culture promotes identity and belonging, and amen to that.
Yeah, I know. Barb's been on a few
Who's
times
you?
with
Can you
Little
hear
Moments
me?
Count. Barb, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
Can
well,
you
we're
hear me?
chatting on the sidelines, so I don't know what's going on. But Barb is a member of the White Earth Nation here in Minnesota. It's kind of a bit north of the Twin Cities here, as are most of our tribes. We cannot hear you, Barb. I'm not sure. Maybe check out your settings there. But I know Barb is the CEO of Indigenous Visioning and the nonprofit All Nations Rise. And they have a really popular item in their toolkit, which they're expanding to other communities across Turtle Island. And that's the Indigibox.
Yeah. I love when we talk about that, Haley. I think adults need that, and that's some of us too that need a little brushing up on where we're from and who we are. Sometimes that's always exciting to hear from Barb.
Yeah. Little Moments Count. I know you can learn more at littlemomentscount.org. And I think we talk about a lot on the show, like our young ones being our next generation and the ones that we need to pass our knowledge down, pass our stories down to, so that we can continue to be here in our own sovereign way, in our own identities. And
yeah. And Barb's gonna try and log in and leave and log in. Haley, I wanted to switch subjects if you don't mind here. You sent me an article that I saw last night, that there was a group of kids on a field trip, and a white lady called the feds on them because she thought they were illegal immigrants.
yeah, that was in Flagstaff, Arizona. I think this happened last Thursday, but I was just seeing about it today. And I actually saw about it on TikTok, of all places, right? Where we see a lot of things. But yeah, in Flagstaff, Arizona, there was a large group of tribal kids, I guess, just going on a field trip. And this, I'm going to say white lady because that's public information. And she called the feds on them and said that they were migrant immigrants coming in across the border. And they were actually, Native students are from here, believe it or not.
Right, exactly. Hey, there's Barb. Hey, how you doing, Barb?
I'm doing great. Sorry about that.
We can't hear you still.
No, we can see you this time.
Yeah.
Maybe go to your audio settings and change that to your device there. You look great though, Barb, as always.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, try and change your audio settings because we can't hear you. So back to that story, that's just how much is this going to happen now that everyone feels like they have issue with brown people that they don't like, and that's just a crazy situation.
Yeah, well, I feel like more people are feeling like it's okay to be racist or just like not, I guess, calling in or doing actions that have very damaging repercussions on people. And if you don't know who someone is, I wouldn't make a move like calling the police on them.
Yeah, amazing. So how much is this going to be a thing now? Barb, can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, and now we can hear you.
Oh, can you? Great. Fabulous.
Good thing this isn't a live show. Oh, wow, it is. Oh my gosh.
Wait a minute. It is. Yeah. Bonjour.
Hey, good to see you again. And we introduced you a couple times, so I'm going to just jump in. We only have a few minutes left in this segment, but I want to jump in and ask you a couple questions here because you come with a lot of knowledge, and you're like one of the best shows we have when we talk about little moments count. We're really glad to see you again. But, as a lifelong child advocate, can you share experience that have shaped your perspective on childcare needs, in particular for parents and grandparents in Indigenous communities?
Sure. You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Right. All right. So I think what changed my career was the brain development and learning about historical trauma and due to the boarding school. So that information, I was in early childhood, but I understood the importance of, making sure the childcare classrooms are, through a cultural lens whenever possible, to provide resources in there, to provide training, historical trauma training and brain development to parents and caregivers of children, no matter what setting they are. So that's kind of been my goal for many years now.
Mm-hmm. Well, why is advocacy important in addressing, the needs of our little ones?
Well, when children are in any kind of childcare, whether it's informal FFN, like you and your wife, you're FFN caregivers. And yay. And, it's really important because when a child is in childcare full time, they're with that parent or that childcare provider more waking hours than a parent. So, how critical is that to your child? So you definitely want a childcare program that reflects, you, your family, your community, and even, language whenever we can incorporate that into childcare. Because those little ones, how they are with, their brains just soak up all that language. And so introducing it from infancy on up, or even speaking to you while they're in the womb helps. So, it's those missed opportunities that we're trying to help.
Well, Barb, we're going to take a quick break here. And Barb Fabre is CEO of Indigenous Visioning and a White Earth Ojibwe member. And we'll be right back after this short break.
As we age, it's important to invest in our health and to help protect it. Like the flu, COVID-19 is always changing. That's why it's important to stay up to date on your vaccines. By getting the flu and COVID-19 vaccines, you can renew your body's defenses and lower the risk of getting sick. Get your health boost and protect yourself against the flu and COVID. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Again, that's vaccines.gov. Vaccines.gov.
Native Americans are more likely than white or Asian Americans to develop Alzheimer's or other dementias, yet our Indigenous relatives remain significantly underrepresented in research. The Alzheimer's Association of Minnesota and North Dakota invites you to a special virtual event addressing dementia prevention and treatment for Native Americans. Join this Friday from 11:30 to 12:30 for a virtual presentation by Dr. William G. Manti as he explores disparities in dementia research and the unique challenges faced by Native American communities. Learn how partnering with tribal nations as essential decision makers can create better outcomes towards finally beating dementia. November is National Native American Heritage Month. This is a time to recognize the systemic barriers to dementia care, such as affordability, faced by 61% of Native Americans. With nearly 102,000 people living with Alzheimer's in Minnesota alone, the need for equitable research and care has never been greater. So join the effort to create a brighter future for our elders. That's a presentation about Alzheimer's and dementia impacting Indigenous Minnesotans this Friday from 11:30 to 12:30. Find the registration link at am950radio.com. Signing up for $1 bus and train rides with the Transit Assistance Program, or TAP, is quick and easy. Do it straight from your computer or phone by uploading one of the pre-approved documents listed at metrotransit.org/TAP, along with a copy of your ID. They'll mail you a go-to card with a full year of discounted rides. For questions or translation help, call 612-373-3333. That's 612-373-3333.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This segment of Native Roots Radio is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count. For more information, you can visit littlemomentscount.org.
Hey, we have our friend Barb Fabre on, as CEO of Indigenous Visioning and White Earth Ojibwe member. Hey, welcome back, Barb. Really good to see you again. And it's crazy. It's taken me a while, like 36 years or so, to remember how these little brains work on these babies. And every week we see our little twins, Wendy watching them Wednesdays and Thursdays. It's like a whole different person. They're laughing and giggling at me, and I'm not even telling jokes.
Yeah, isn't it surprising? I always say that I wish I knew what I do now when my children were that age. But, our grandkids are benefiting from our knowledge and wisdom right now, right? So, yeah, and we need to make sure that, the people caring for our children are supported and to provide that the best care possible, and to bring, literacy and art and music and, culture, language whenever we can, in the classroom or in a home setting like FFN care.
Right on. And, that's what we're trying to do here. And I got to pull out the Ho-Chunk dictionary and start really speaking to them. So do childcare care needs differ in Indigenous families compared to those in other communities?
I would say so. It's, there's a childcare crisis everywhere. But with, our communities, childcare isn't as prominent in the non-tribal communities. There's more in those communities than there is in tribal communities. So the good thing is that tribes, I believe there's 264 tribal grantees of the Federal Child Care Development Block Grant, also known as Child Care Development Fund. And those funds go to states and tribes to help create childcare systems and to support childcare systems and provide access and affordability to childcare for families. So, we just need to, keep working at it. It is growing. Childcare is growing out in Indian country. It's at a slow pace, but it's happening, and there's a lot of good things happening out there. And tribes have so much sovereignty, and flexibility. Or through sovereignty, they have so many flexibilities with those fundings to make sure that there's a childcare system there.
Wow. What specific challenges do parents and grandparents face in accessing quality childcare? And how can they voice their concerns?
Yeah, well, great question. There's a lot of things. For example, that federal funding I was just speaking about, the states and tribes need to have public hearings, and I believe on an annual basis. And so, they can go to those and, listen to what the child care program is doing and get input from parents and community members. It's good if, parents and grandparents, for example, guardians, in tribal communities, there's a lot of grandparents caring for their grandchildren, 365 days a year, days a year. Sorry. And so, those parents are really struggling. And so it's just getting them resources and connecting them with local childcare service providers.
Yeah. Well, many. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Barb.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to add, and help them navigate the online system. There's a lot of resources online, but if, they don't have a computer and they're not familiar with the computer, they really need those supports.
Yeah, I agree. many businesses don't realize how critical childcare is and is for employee retention too and recruitment.
Oh, huge, huge. You can talk to any employer anywhere of any size, and they know about the childcare crisis because they have employees, calling in, they can't come in today, or their provider's sick. So, or whatever the case, they hear those, that's something their HR, offices know a lot about, because that's probably the most often, concern.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially since COVID too, because a lot of people didn't go back right away. And part of it is, am I breaking even on childcare and things like that? So that really makes sense.
Right. And, childcare is, a business, a small business. So, we're seeing a little bit of an uptick of providers doing it out of their home and becoming their own business. We have, thanks to COVID and all the COVID dollars, there's more childcare centers going up around the country. Fond du Lac just opened a brand new one. Leech Lake did. White Earth. So, those are positive things, and just sharing resources. And I encourage community members to reach out to their local childcare and see what's out there, see what's available, and get involved.
Yeah, well, some parents and grandparents have created their own childcare situation. How can we help promote that and those kind of solutions in our community too?
Absolutely. And there's those federal dollars, those are provided to help, anybody get into the childcare business, or to help parents pay for childcare. It also funds quality to make sure, training. So, those funds are really critical to our communities. And that's, I just encourage people to find, if you're a tribal member, go to the tribe and ask, who and what, and go visit them. If you're a county, same thing. Who's providing childcare at the county level, and develop that relationship. Whether you're a business person with staff, or you're a parent or guardian looking for childcare and how to pay for it, or if you want to become licensed, lots of resources out there.
That's awesome. So, a lot of people struggle because of the distance too of the childcare. Maybe it's the opposite way where their work is, or, in the rural area, it's hundreds and hundreds of miles away at times. How can we support that, and how can we advocate for that?
Well, it's again getting, if you're in a tribal community, talking to your tribal childcare program and your tribal leaders about, the tribe doing their own tribal licensing of family childcare providers, or licensing a center. So it's culturally relevant. It's monitored by the tribe, and it's likely local people, and so childcare can be started up just about anywhere, as long as the home can meet licensing, which is not hard. It sounds a little scary, but it really isn't. And the licensors, especially tribal ones that I know, really work with that childcare, that person, to help them get their home ready for childcare. So it's not no, it's not good. They've got resources to help meet all the licensing requirements. So it's things like that. Finding, a building, having a co-op of childcare providers sharing a building. I mean, there's so many different types of childcare now because of the need.
Yeah. Is it fair to assume that when tribal organizations help people, they need to be on the res, so to speak? Or can they be urban Indians too? Or
unfortunately, the way the Child Care Development Block Grant is for tribes, it says they can only go up to 35 miles off their reservation borderline.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not in statute. So this is a government ruling. And, you know, I think tribes should be allowed to help their members down in an urban setting like Minneapolis. There's, you know, thousands, 800,000 is the last time I heard, count down there. And that was quite a few years ago. So, and if a lot more, and as far as I know, down there's 5 tribal early childhood programs to serve all those 800,000, tribal people living down there. So without those resources, it's harder. And so I think tribes should be allowed, and tribal leaders can talk to, during tribal and state consultations or tribal and federal consultations, talk to them about it and see why that's in there, because it's not in statute. So, and then they too have public hearings on that federal law, so people can get involved. You can get National Congress of American Indians. Just really talking about it is what needs to happen right now.
Well, Barb, I want to just say a big peeny gigi thank you so much for coming on. And I was excited when I heard you were going to be the guest, because you always bring such great knowledge to our listeners. And we appreciate you here on Native Roots Radio.
Oh, miigwech, same here. Gigawabamin.
We'll see you soon. Thank you. Hey, We'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. Programming on Native Roots Radio is supported in part by MNsure. Looking for health insurance, but not sure where to start? MNsure has you covered. You can find discounts, compare private health plans, and see if you qualify for free or low-cost insurance. Plus, get help from an expert so you save on the coverage you need. Enroll online by December 18th for coverage starting January 1st. Get started today at mnsure.org. That's mnsure.org.
Getting bus and train information in your language just got easier. Customers who call Metro Transit at 612-373-3333, again 612-373-3333, are able to select language options at the start of the call. To access information in Spanish, select option 2. For more information about other transit information tools, visit metrotransit.org/Spanish. That's metrotransit.org/Spanish.
It's okay to talk about mental health. It's okay to struggle. And it's okay to ask for help. It's important that we support one another and work together to end the stigma so that we can start to tell a different story about mental health and well-being in our community. If you're looking for support for yourself or want to find resources for a loved one, visit makeitokay.org to get started. That's makeitokay.org.
Native Americans are more likely than white or Asian Americans to develop Alzheimer's or other dementias, yet our Indigenous relatives remain significantly underrepresented in research. The Alzheimer's Association of Minnesota and North Dakota invites you to a special virtual event addressing dementia prevention and treatment for Native Americans. Join this Friday from 11:30 to 12:30 for a virtual presentation by Dr. William G. Manti as he explores disparities in dementia research and the unique challenges faced by Native American communities. Learn how partnering with tribal nations as essential decision makers can create better outcomes towards finally beating dementia. November is National Native American Heritage Month. This is a time to recognize the systemic barriers to dementia care, such as affordability, faced by 61% of Native Americans. With nearly 102,000 people living with Alzheimer's in Minnesota alone, the need for equitable research and care has never been greater. So join the effort to create a brighter future for our elders. That's a presentation about Alzheimer's and dementia impacting Indigenous Minnesotans this Friday from 11:30 to 12:30. Find the registration link at am950radio.com. Thinking about college? Consider checking out Minnesota Private Colleges. These 18 nonprofit institutions keep the focus on students with small classes and professors who will get to know you. You'll find students from all backgrounds, and no two colleges are alike. And when it comes to cost, they're more affordable than you think. Find the college that's right for you at mnprivatecolleges.org/possible. That's mnprivatecolleges.org/possible.
Step into the world of movement and native culture at Nimiwin, now showing at All My Relations Arts. Nimiwin is translated as Everyone Dance. This moving multimedia exhibition, curated by Josie Hoffman, delves into the connection between movement and identity, drawing inspiration from dance and powwow traditions. It showcases the work of Indigenous artists from Minnesota, emphasizing the fluidity of movement in our bodies, land, and community. Witness Nimiwin and its powerful expression on Indigenous art, on display now through January 18th at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lolia. Cloudy tonight with a low of 27, then Thursday cloudy with a high of 39. Celebrate the Thanksgiving season at Ferndale Market's Turkey Fest, taking place at Ferndale's on-farm store in Cannon Falls, November 22nd through 27th. Visit ferndalemarket.com to reserve your fresh turkey for pickup at the event. Can't make it? No problem. Use Ferndale's online locator to find a retail partner near you.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Hey, we are here with our friend Arvina Martin, Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin, and happy 20th day of Native American Heritage Month. Welcome, Arvina.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, it's always great to have you, and it's a Ho-Chunk Day. We have 3 Ho-Chunks now on the show, and so what cannot go wrong? And it's just a beautiful day, even though it's snowing here in Minnesota.
It's snowing here too in Madison.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Well, that was enough of the weather report there. Hey, so yesterday was Red Shawl Day. Did you do anything? Did you wear a red shawl? Did you go to any things going on?
I did not. We didn't have a lot of activities around here, so I didn't get to do anything. How about you?
No, and I don't know what happened to my red shawl. I don't know where it is, but no, not since what is the dance called when the switch dance? Not since I've had a switch dance if I had a red shawl, but yeah. So it's Red Shawl Day is for Native American and Alaskan Native women who are missing and murdered, and of the rate of more than 10 times the national average. And wearing red brings attention to the acts of violence committed against Indigenous people, and so we just wanted to bring that up, anyways.
Yeah, an important day for visibility and for an issue that's important to all of us.
Well, how are you holding out? I hear it's earlier this week. It was your birthday.
Yes, it was the big 4-5.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yep. Sure am.
Well, happy birthday.
Really?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I had a great day watching the Packers beat the Bears last minute by 1 point with a blocked field goal. That was a nice birthday present.
Yeah, it was funny. I saw the score and I went, okay, the Bears are going to win. And then I hear like an hour later, that didn't even happen. And seeing all the Bear fans on social media, just saying things like we do here in Minnesota when it comes to like, oh, we're terrible, and we're terrible and we're never going to win. And it sounded like a bunch of Minnesota whiners, but they were Chicago whiners.
Chicago whiners. Yeah. And they, I guess the last time that, the Bears beat the Packers was in 2018. So it's been a while. And yeah, the joke on that I've seen on social media is that Aaron Rodgers passed his ownership of the Bears to Jordan Love. So now Jordan Love owns the Bears.
Wow, that's great. Hey, today is Transgender Day and of Remembrance, and today honors the memory of the transgender people whose lives were lost in acts of anti-transgender violence. And we just want to mention that. And I know in Madison, there's a big community. And of course, here in the Twin Cities, we just got to mention that.
Yeah, especially, going into a new presidential administration that seems to be vastly different than the current one. And, we need to stand with our trans siblings and make sure that the rights that we all have are rights that they are being afforded as well. Making sure that they can, use the bathroom where they feel safest, where, be able to change their names and the markers that they need and be provided care. There's just so much at stake, and we need to make sure that we are looking out for our trans siblings.
Well, I feel personally rejuvenated now and ready to go, and I am going to be dropping Twitter or X, and I'm on this app called Blue Sky, and I saw somebody named Arvina Martin on there. I tried to friend.
Yeah, I made the switch over to Blue. Actually, I had a Blue Sky account for a while, but didn't use it very much, or just to read things, not necessarily to post. And now I'm moving over there too. I feel icky using Twitter. I have not gone on in quite a while. So it's time. I'm glad that people are moving to different platforms, and Blue Sky seems pretty cool so far. I also like Threads as well for a similar kind of Twitter-esque feel. But yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff, and I got included on one of those native Blue Sky starter packs, and so my feed right now is almost entirely related to Indigenous issues, and it's really cool. And I'm really learning a lot, particularly learning a lot more about issues happening out in Hawaii as well as New Zealand. So
yeah, well, I'll have to do the starter pack one step at a time for me. I didn't get to that point. I just I saw you and I said, I want to friend you. And so all the natives I see out there, I was friending. So I'm up to like 36. So I'm on my way.
Excellent.
Haley, are you on Blue Sky?
No, unfortunately, I've spent so much time kind of creating my own X or Twitter algorithm. Mine's still pretty funny. I don't use it. Like, I don't post on there, but it's probably the platform I use the least for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, a new time's coming, and we have a lot of things to talk about, like the cabinet appointments. I know we get a lot of good information from you, Arvina, about that, and it's been hard for me to look at the mass media now, because the weird stuff like the Morning Joe is having President Trump on there, and I'm just going, it's the upside down world even more.
Yeah, I was disappointed hearing about Joe and Mika from Morning Joe going to meet with Trump. That's wild. But I guess you never know what you're going to do in somebody else's shoes, I suppose. But these cabinet appointments have been pretty off the wall, and you're seeing even conservative people be like, why Dr. Oz for like Medicaid and Medicare? It's just like, somebody said you can't get an appointment to the cabinet without having been on TV, because so many of his folks or his appointments are people that have been on, say, Fox News or other similar channels.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's like almost like the Democrats should almost vote these guys in and let it burn. My goodness. It's like, show it. Like Matt Gaetz.
Oh Lord.
He went directly from law school and being a lawyer, never litigating on anything, right into politics. So how could he even be attorney general? Not to even mention about what he's got up against him with all this pedophile stuff with young girls.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's scary to think that we may not see what that report says. I believe the last I heard that the ethics committee is like deadlocked in terms of deciding whether to open or closed the report and evidence and such from the report, which is scary and sad. And you know, and Matt Gaetz is just awful. You know, we know this, and having somebody that has such a checkered ethical past in one of these positions, let alone as top cop for the country, it's really, you know, it does the position a disservice, and it does all of us a disservice to have folks that are not competent. You know, it's wild. I go back to Dr. Oz, you know, that's he doesn't know anything. He pushes quackery and homeopathy and things that are not data driven. You know, yikes.
Well, how could one person destroy their family name too, or at least attempt to, with Bobby Kennedy Jr. now being the head of the HHCDA, or not H? That's Ho Chunk. I'm in the wrong job here, but help me out here.
It's like, when did that happen?
Yeah, right. And he's not even Ho Chunk. How did
that?
Oh my God. But Bobby Kennedy, being the head of medical decisions and, being an anti-vaxxer, it's just strike one, and then also being a lunatic.
Absolutely. He's also, I saw that he, kind of made RFK Jr. kind of kiss the ring and such in that picture from up on the plane with McDonald's, because he doesn't like fast food, and that is him acquiescing to Trump and Trump getting to yet again show his dominance over somebody, which is really sad for both
Yeah.
of them,
And what a great name too. I grew up with the Kennedy name, other than the big Chappaquiddick thing with Ted, but Bobby and John were good for the country, and and then he's also had some good nephews that have run and have been in the Senate and the House too.
Yeah, and think about, people nowadays, if you say what do you think of when you hear RFK, instead of Attorney General or Kennedy brother, you get brain worms.
Arvina. Hey, we're here with Arvina Martin, Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin. We're talking a little bit about everything but these cabinet things, seats. We'll have to talk a little bit more about that. This is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and we'll be back with Haley and Arvina. We'll be right back.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
As we age, it's important to invest in our health and to help protect it. Like the flu, COVID-19 is always changing. That's why it's important to stay up to date on your vaccines. By getting the flu and COVID-19 vaccines, you can renew your body's defenses and lower the risk of getting sick. Get your health boost and protect yourself against the flu and COVID. Find vaccines near you at vaccines.gov. Again, that's vaccines.gov. Vaccines.gov.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Support for Native Roots Radio comes from the Walker Arts Center. Visit during free Thursday nights. Every week from 5 to 9 p.m., there's something new to explore. Enjoy date-friendly events like artist talks, performances, and exhibition openings, or explore art making, open library hours, and exhibition tours. Settle into your weekend among community. Free every Thursday night and free every day for members and citizens of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org. Again, that's walkerart.org.
Hi, this is Governor Walls. Thank you for listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Hey, did I blow that, Haley, or what?
I think you forgot.
Let me just, I was just reading our show notes here, and I got out of control here.
That's okay.
Phew. Hey, we're here with Arvina Martin and Executive Director of Emerge Wisconsin, and we're talking about cabinets. But I want to just mention a quick thing before we get back into that, and that's we happen to have talking to the president of Stockbridge Muncie yesterday, and what a great leader she is. And it was great to have her on, and I haven't seen Shannon in a while, and it was really fun to catch up. But we have a lot of great tribal leaders, and thank goodness for that.
Yeah, Shannon has been a really effective leader in Stockbridge Muncie. I'm Stockbridge Muncie through my dad's side. And so, she has done so much for the Stockbridge community, and is really a strong voice for her constituents, for the folks that she serves. She gives her all. And it's really exciting to me to see such a dynamic young Native woman leader, in the rooms making decisions. I'm a fan, if you can't tell.
Well, so am I. And I didn't realize there was a couple things that it sounded like there's only a 2-year term. And she's been reelected 5 times. She's been president for 10 years, which blew my mind, those 2 things.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when your Ho-Chunk and your president changes every term, we're not used to more of the same longevity. But, I think that having someone in office that knows what they're doing and having that kind of continuity is really, really great, and leads to so much, that the longer that you are in that particular position, the better you are at it. I mean, in theory. So, there's plenty of people that coast, but, you'd think that they would be the most efficient and in terms of getting things done, working with other people, all the qualities that you want to have in a leader, they're able to hone during their time.
Yeah. And it's a good time to have good leaders, because we're going to be dealing with Project 2025 and to be able to keep our sovereignty and stay on top of things and not fall asleep behind the wheel. So it's red alert time for a lot of people, including tribal nations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was looking earlier at the potential nominee for the Department of Interior, and it looks like he wants to appoint Doug Burgum, who's the governor of North Dakota. And it sounds like we have, there are like all of these like atrocious nominees, and it sounds like maybe this one might not be so bad. It sounds like since he, is from North Dakota, that he has familiarity with tribes and tribal sovereignty, and fingers crossed, that he kind of keeps working that, as opposed to whatever fresh hell is in Project 2025. I know I tried to look up things that would have to do with tribes, and there was like we were not in there. As far as I could see. I don't know if anybody else has tried to do the deep dive and see what cobble something together, but I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I'll have to send you that. I got some pages and some paragraphs to send you. So it is red alert, but also too, when you talk about the Dakotas, I hear Kristi Noem's name mentioned, and she's been like exiled from 11 tribes she can't come on in her state. So, wow.
I mean, maybe we need to start using these tools that we have, like banishment. Maybe we need to start using them more often, because, I could see her getting an interior nod as well. But if you're banned from all of the tribal communities that you already represent, how you're going to make it 570, however many tribal communities there are in the United States, get banished from all of them. So,
well, and close the borders, which is interesting. In Dakotas, they tried to, and I know some of our friends too down south were able to, during COVID, close the borders.
Oh, that's interesting. And tribes having that kind of ability through their sovereignty to be able to enforce borders and such. It'll be interesting to see how that relationship develops between the federal government and tribes, particularly for tribes that are near borders or on borders. Anything that has to do with this guy, this next incoming guy, I know that I can't I don't want to anticipate what he's going to do, because somehow he always ends up doing something worse than I anticipate. So.
Well, we were able to, state-wise, with our attorney generals, a lot of them block a lot of his bad legislation in round one. And hopefully, I know we're revved up here with our attorney general, Keith Ellison, is talking about that openly. And I appreciate his candor in that they were able to stop quite a few things the first time around.
I mean, we need to be looking at all the tools in our collective toolbox, and making sure that we're utilizing the judicial branch in terms of vetting these rules or these laws that they're attempting to pass, so that we can really weed out the ones that are the most dangerous and the ones that are going to do the most harm to so many people. And so absolutely judicial action, prosecuting, suing, that's another tool in that toolbox. And we should use all the tools that we can, because, just the stakes are so high.
Well, and again, our Haley and I earlier in the show were talking about, Haley, you want to bring that up, where we had some native relatives, kids walking out there, and some people were calling the feds on them because they were illegal immigrants.
Yeah, I think I sent you that video, Arvina, the students on the field trip, the native students in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Yeah, I watched that. It's wild.
Yeah.
My jaw's on the ground.
Right. So it's so again, I need to get that baseball cap that I saw the first time around, and it was a blue hat, and it said "Make racists afraid again." And they're going to have a good go to it here these next 4 years, and we need to be on top of it and vigilant.
Yeah. Can't go home if you're already from here, you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
That happened to me one time during the Act 10 protests here. There was a conservative guy that told me to go back to where I came from. I'm like, sir, I'm Ho Chunk. We're from here. Why don't you go back to where you came from? Which I was really excited that my brain thought of it quick enough.
Wow. Well, it's a good way to end the show, Arvina. I really appreciate you being on as always. Arvina Martin, Executive Director of Merge Wisconsin, and our friend and Ho Chunk friend. Really appreciate you being on.
Thank you for having me. I love joining you guys.
Right on. Hey, if you're listening to the show, you're part of the resistance. From Chief Plentycoops, the ground on which we stand on is sacred ground, is the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist. I'm just going to leave it there, Haley. We need to resist.
Yes, and free Leonard Peltier now.